So we're talking with Brandon Haw today, who is a former NFL player and also played in the European leagues and has recently embraced medical cannabis in the cannabis industry as his new arena. So we want to talk to you today a little bit more about your newfound interest and passion toward cannabis and medical cannabis, but also you're about to be on a panel here at United Patients Group Medical Cannabis Conference, and so we're really happy that you're here.
I'm happy to be here for that.
Great. So you obviously, there's been so much awareness brought to the American public recently due to the major feature film Concussion, which was focused on the NFL league and the new findings from Dr. Bennett Omalu of what's known as CTE, or chronic encephalopathy.
There you go. Almost.
Okay.
Admirable.
Let's stick with CTE.
We will.
On
I
that.
will too.
Okay, great.
I will too.
Okay. And so I know that for myself, sitting in that movie theater and watching that film and being a lifelong football fan, I almost felt sick to my stomach about the realities of what athletes like yourself have aspired to and have successfully created a life around the sport that looks to be, until there can be major revisions done to either the type of hits and the type of actions that are allowed in the league, or somehow technology catches up with helmet and
physical attributes, because the kids, man, they're just a lot more faster and athletic as well.
Yes, exactly. And I have a 10-year-old nephew who decided he wanted to play football this year, and normally that would be a very happy time in our family, and I was just, again, sort of feeling a little sick to my stomach. So you obviously grew up loving football probably from the time you were old enough to walk.
8 years old. 8 years old, I said I'm playing the NFL.
Right.
8 years old. Mm-hmm.
It was a dream, and then you went to Rutgers University, you played there. And
Scarlet Knights.
Right. All right, that's great. And obviously, I mean, it's a national pastime for Americans and people around the world. And you obviously played internationally as well. Had a very successful career over there. But what you know now, what you know as a player, and also the lawsuit that is now being brought, the class action lawsuit that's now being brought by many players in the industry, in the NFL. I believe you're a part of the class action lawsuit. Just tell me a little bit about your own feelings. Did you feel you had been lied to by the NFL or by the sport in general?
I feel like the sport has also made a lot of steps to make it safer. If one of my kids were to ask to play, I'd still think about it just because of what they're trying to do now. As far as withholding things, I just feel like they might have been put in this situation too. I feel like
it's a very big business.
It's a very big business. As they were seeing things, they were already happening probably, and they always want to minimize any type of damages any business wants to do.
Sure. So I don't want to put you on the spot, especially if you are a part of a lawsuit. So, I mean, we're aware of what some of the grievances are from the players or former players and whatnot. But it sounds like once you started to put your active playing career sort of on the back burner, that you pursued really wrapping your head around from a very formal, educated standpoint. You literally attended Oaksterdam University. So first of all, tell our viewers about Oaksterdam and what made you do that.
Well, after football, obviously, I had a lot of different problems with the brain trauma that's caused by the rules that weren't, changed at that point. And at that point, it also wasn't spread offense. It was more running the ball. It was a more physical X's and O's, not just the rules. So me being a smaller player, when I came into college, I was 150 pounds.
Wow.
And I was told that's, you got to be tough. And, over time, I considered what was happening to me, maybe toughness. Maybe I was getting tougher, but really I was more angry inside, more inconsistent, more violent at times, more very depressed at times. It was more uncontrollable, more like a bout, like inside you over various situations that you might see in the day. I'll attack them totally different depending on whatever mood switch my brain was in. And as things are falling apart because of it, I'm seeking vices, I'm seeking medicine over the counter, I'm seeking recreational, and I'm seeking whatever it takes to just
Feel better.
you know. And marijuana was one of the things that never made me sick never made me sick the next day. And I said to myself, I'm the type of person, when I'm all in, I go all in. So I said, I'm just gonna make it myself. You know what I mean? Just cut out the middleman. I'm just gonna go make it myself. I know where it's coming from.
And you're talking physically about growing the plant.
Yeah.
And did you also learn to extract the plant too?
Yeah, I know from the seed to the extract. I know it.
Wow.
I know I'm very deep in anything that is marijuana. I'm deep in the research. I'm deep in the actual plant. So yeah, I went to Oaksterdam University.
So tell us a little bit about Oaksterdam. So is this a program that is specifically focused on the cannabis industry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It shows you the laws in it. Then it shows you exactly how to grow it. And if you want to linger on as far as email the people that are teaching you or have taught you, they will email you back. They're very good with everything that is cannabis in the movement right now.
Did it surprise you? Because it's kind of surprising to me. But did it surprise you that that a program like that existed?
Yeah, it is. It didn't surprise me that it.
I mean, you already
existed,
had one degree, and now you're going to go and get a different one.
Well, it surprised me on the level that it was on, not just it existed. I'm sure that people are probably teaching other people to grow for a number of years, but to have it in the university and have it educational, have professionals teaching you is a totally different thing.
So did it open your mind up to, I mean, I think that most of us that are of a certain age, we grew up with marijuana, weed, pot, whatever you want to call it, as purely a recreational and an illicit, illegal drug for most of our lifetimes, unless there's somebody that's watching right now who's in their 90s and remembers when it was still a legal substance in the United States. But did it surprise you or open your eyes to the medicinal values, the truly legitimate medicinal value of the plant?
What really opened my eyes is how strong the stigma is.
Right.
Because I'm not saying that I lived a reckless life, but I was kind of like, I tallied the line, I straddled that line, and I still didn't know how good of a medicine it was. And somebody, if I don't know, the guy that does everything right, the by the book guy, he definitely has no clue.
Right. There's a lot of misinformation out there for the average person who may not have ever tried it recreationally or otherwise.
Yes.
Okay. So now how long ago did you first start, attending Oaksterdam and all that? When did that process start for you?
This is 3 years ago in 2013. Now, mind you, this is how deep I get into things. 4 years ago, I didn't even smoke weed at all, whatsoever. Not during my career, I didn't do anything that was, I thought, considered drugs through my playing career. Nothing. I always thought that,
I'm going to close my mouth now because my jaw just dropped on the floor. That's actually really surprising to me, given that there's a reputation we feel. I think that the most of the American public feels that professional athletes are probably imbibing in some sort of either recreational or, prescription medication. So that's interesting.
Well, to me, it's like, that's how I know that it is a medicine, because it's something that I didn't need before. Right. And as the trauma happened, I searched for it, and now that's what I have. I think, to me, some people say that it does this. I know that it's a regulatory medicine because when I looked at, I studied it. I studied with cancer. I studied it with weight, and it seems like it doesn't cut anything off or put anything in without helping the rest of the system out. It's just like chemo with cancer, right? Chemo just kills everything.
Right.
Usually when doctors do something, it's like kills everything or it doesn't regulate anything.
Right.
So I'm seeing that it's regulating stuff, and that's why whenever I do or I've done recreational drugs with my marijuana, if I've done marijuana, then the recreational drug, whatever is kicked, it starts to not be affected anymore. So then I'm watching this piece, right, on Miko Perez, right? This lady with her kid saying this marijuana saved her kid, and he had autism and all that. And one of the other people on the segment is saying that your son's stoned. And then
Right.
she looks in the camera. I could tell like mothers know their kids, right? And she's saying, I look at my kid when he's medicated. I see him. He's him again. And when I saw that, it immediately went to what my parents said how I was before. You know, I was happy-go-lucky. I always searched the heart of people. I was always like, nothing bothered me.
Right.
And I'm thinking that's really how I am when I'm consistent, when I'm medicated. And I'm thinking it's been so gradual. What I was to what I am now, that when I am me again, I didn't even recognize it until I seen somebody else say that about their son.
Amazing.
So it really doesn't get me high. I know, I mean, it gets me high, but a lot of my friends smoke a lot of weed, but they smoke it. Some of them smoke it to get high. I smoke it to be myself.
That's such a great statement to make, because I think that was the original goal of a lot of the prescription medications that are out there, right? Like, okay, you're in this much level of pain. This medication is supposed to bring you now to balance, to regulate you, correct? And obviously, because of the way of the withdrawals and the time that it takes and it goes through your system, not to mention the long-term and possible damaging effects to your organs and everything else that can happen over any lengthy period of time. It sounds like you have naturally come upon the fact that what cannabis can do for you is to regulate you, to put you back in balance, to bring Brandon back, the real Brandon back.
Finally.
And that's really interesting. I made an assumption that you probably had, just because the league, there are a lot of people in the league that, from what I understand, that recreationally this is their drug. What's one of their drugs of choice. And so you would assume that there might be just the natural inclination for you to be a part of that. But it does sound like it was really something later in your career and in your life that you really discovered this from a very pure sense. It's amazing.
And literally, I'm playing in the dirt, literally, with my medicine, because like there is no state regulated saying that this is medicine does this, and different strands do affect me differently. But if it's the same strand, it always affects me exactly the same.
Okay.
That's why, like, I love United Patients Group. Like, somebody, like, oh yeah, you said Newsweek is supposed to talk to me.
Right. Yes.
And they're like, put in something about United Patients, and I'm like, that's easy, because like, you know, anytime you're talking about people searching for the medicine, right, you need things like United Patients Group to show them, because there isn't anything right now that people can go to and say, oh, this is the answer. It's just a bunch of websites and whoever has the first on Google. So it's like, you know, you don't want that. You want something more solid.
Well, we appreciate that, definitely. And I think, you know, with the conference and having you be a part of the conference this weekend, the point is really to get to the truth and the science, and let's leave the hype out of it at this point.
Exactly.
And I think that what's so great is that you have gone on your own and you've really endeavored to find the truth about medical cannabis and about cannabis in general. But you're right, having a clearinghouse of reputable and reliable information where people can go and explore it as well is not that prevalent on the internet or elsewhere. And, you know, I think having something like UPG obviously is very helpful in that regard, but you're also lending a lot of information out there. So what's your plan moving forward with your newfound interest and passion toward cannabis? It sounds like, you know, you're obviously interested in how it affects traumatic brain injuries. And then it sounds also as if you've been affected by how you've seen it help and really impact positively people that are suffering from epilepsy and seizures and whatnot. So what would you like to do with it moving forward?
Well, the first thing I want to do is, if I get any money from this lawsuit, I want to put it directly into somebody's hands that could give me enough funding probably to do some testings. Like to me, as far as the NFL question about them lying, to me it's like, okay, so whatever happened right now, and we need to focus on the future. And what is the future? The future is there's a bunch of athletes right now that have traumas to their head. You know, there's a bunch of established, you know, doctors knows, and in Hebrew University, Dr. Mashula did things with mice that had brain recovery at 50% for trauma in mice. Now, I know that's just mice, right? But as far as a study for, there's no better study. There's no better study right now that we have than all these players that have these traumas. And if you have no other medicine, And that's what I'm saying. The NFL knows they don't, just because there's no medicine for brain trauma, for
Right.
CTE. So if there's a possibility, and these players are no longer playing, I would love for them to somehow help people to get a group together to see that if it can help. And that's basically what I want to get involved with. Anything with medical marijuana that can help us as players, first and foremost, because I am one.
Right.
And yeah, and if I can get to the others, there's cancer, there's children with autism, like Miko. When I seen that, there's all types of things that you can get your hands into. But first things first,
Right.
got to invest in, and then I'm hopefully, the NFL can help, and if they can't help, maybe another venue for getting the players together, because, if we were on the chopping block before,
Right.
why not be on the chopping block with this, that no matter what you can do, it's fail-proof because you cannot overdose from it.
Right. Huge important point right there, for sure, that it's something that even though it can help you, no drug or no substance is completely without its problems or issues, but the incidence of overdose due to cannabis consumption is pretty non-existent. So yeah, and I also think it's interesting, and I think you are stepping up at a time when there are other players now finally coming out of the shadows and being willing to talk about this. But I really wish you the best of luck, because I do think that players who have a camaraderie with one another, who've grown up, like you said, since an 8-year-old boy playing football and made it your livelihood.
Still
and
love
all
the
that.
sport, still love it.
Right,
But
of course. But you probably have the most authentic voice to get those other players to rally behind you, maybe put together your own clinical trials.
I
So
hope so.
we wish you the best of luck. We can't wait to have you on our panel here in just a few minutes.
Thank you.
And
Yep.
thanks for being here, Brandon.
I
really
appreciate
appreciate
being
it.
here. Yep.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.